Why is it that as soon as I start filming anything, someone over there starts cutting their grass or cutting a tree down, and every rude boy and his mates start blatting along the road? Now, we can ride again. We're allowed to ride again. So, great news, obviously in the UK, we're now legally allowed to ride our bikes just for fun. If you don't know this, where have you been? Viewers of the channel for a while will know that I've been out on this bike anyway, using it for every errand possible. But there's a lot of people out there that won't have been riding their bikes at all. They would have been stored up. So you're obviously thinking about getting your bike out in the coming weeks, and there are a few bits you sort of want to think about before you get on the road. Hopefully, most of you would have already cleaned your bike before putting it away. If you didn't, why? First thing I advise you do is give the bike a quick wash. If you cleaned your bike prior to putting it away anyway, you won't need to actually wash it for a reason of keep getting it clean. Washing the bike for me is an excuse to clean it because I like cleaning bikes anyway, but it gives me time to get a bit more intimate with the bike, and you spend a bit more time looking over things rather than just going, yeah, it looks like it's still rideable. Let's quickly wash this and then we'll come back in a minute. Sounds like me after a curry. So you would have done this anyway, but obviously I've cleaned my chain, re-lubed it. Gave me a really good time to check over. If you spin it round, you'll see any kinks, any of the links that are a little bit sort of stiff. Obviously if you put it away when it's wet or you haven't lubed it properly, the chain can rust, and obviously that will give you sticky links. If that is the case, sometimes you can revive it by bringing it back with a bit of lube and a bit of use, but 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to have to replace the chain. If you are interested in how to replace a chain, there will be a link up here somewhere to when I replace the chain on the NC750. Whilst you're down here, you may as well give the wheels a bit of a shove to see if the bearings are okay. They won't go from sitting stagnant unless you're leaving them for years, but it's worth doing regardless. Also, while you're down here, tyres. So obviously tyres will deflate over the time that air leaks, so they will slowly go down. So if you've left them on a surface, there's a chance you'll have flat spots. So spin them around. It should be relatively obvious if you've got a flat spot. While you're here as well, you can also check the sidewall to see if you've got any cracking or anything like that. If you've got cracking or flat spots, don't ride. It's not worth it. For the sake of getting a new set of tyres, I know it's expensive, but it'd be more expensive if one of these goes bang. Hopefully they should be okay. Next port of call, brakes. Give them a really good squeeze. They could be spongy if the fluid sort of got a bit stagnant in the pipes or sort of leaked out of the pipes. Most of the time you can get them back by just pumping them, but there's a small chance that you will need to re-bleed the system or at least top up some fluid. While we're looking at the brakes, again, I know you've already cleaned the bike outside. It's worth just giving the discs a good once over anyway to get any surface rust or anything like that off them. Now, depending on how hard you were riding last year when you were last on the bike, might be worth checking your pads as well. You don't want to be going down the road when you're a bit rusty on the bike anyway, and you haven't got any pads left because at the end of last season you said you would replace them next season. You never got round to it. You might find that over the winter or the 6 months or the year that your bike's been put away, these batteries don't hold a charge. There's a high chance you'll turn that on, flick this switch, and nothing will happen. Now, if you don't already have one, I advise getting one of these. This is essentially a Oxford optimizer. It is a battery tender that you can get so many different versions of them. It doesn't have to be one of these. If I know I'm not going to ride the bike for at least a week, I'll plug it into this. So what this will essentially do, you get the normal chargers and you get the smart chargers. The normal chargers will literally just trickle charge your battery. The smart chargers will charge your battery full and then they'll deplete them a bit and then recharge them. Having that depletion and then the recharging helps the battery to sort of essentially stay healthy. I got this from either Sports Bike Shop or Bike Stop, I can't remember, one of my local shops, but it was about £35–40. Now I have a lead that's actually on my bike all the time, so it's attached to the battery and then I've got the cable that comes out. I'll put in a clip here. The ones that aren't smart chargers, Don't leave your bike connected to it all the time. It's not really that great for it. Just plug it in for a day and then take it off charge again, which is all I do. If you've got a smart charger, you can literally just connect it and leave it for as long as you want. And again, this is something you can do a couple of days ahead of riding, just so the bike is in tip-top condition. Now, if you don't have an optimizer and you don't want to buy one, you can jumpstart the bike, which is not great for it. It's not advised to do it, but it will get the bike running. And once the bike is running, the alternator will slowly charge the battery. Again, I wouldn't advise it for the sake of 40 quid. Now, hopefully you've left the tank full. That should stop any condensation or anything building up in the tank and obviously leading to rust. But what you can do, quickly pop the tank and have a look in, shine a light in to see if you can see any rust build up in there. One thing that does happen over time is petrol goes off. It's not as explosive as it once was. You'll be able to smell, there's a bit of an odd smell to gone off petrol. So if it does smell off, you've got a couple of options. Drain the tank, which is a pain in the backside. If you've got a carbed bike, it might be worth just draining the carbs. So you'll have a small screw at the bottom of the carbs that you can drain. Ideal scenario would be that you would drain the tank and put fresh stuff in. But then you've got to worry about getting rid of all the old fuel, and then you've got to buy fuel and bring it round to your house and all that sort of stuff, which is most people don't have time for. Get to a petrol station, put some fresh fuel in, and that will eventually get that out of the system. But yeah, like I said before, if you've got a carbed bike, you can empty the carbs. That'll give you a bit better chance of getting the bike started. As soon as you turn the bike on and run power through a bulb that hasn't been run for a while, there is a chance that bulb's going to blow. If a bulb's gone, it's not going to really massively affect your bike. Just check all my indicators, check on my brake lights, check on my headlights, and just make sure everything's running properly and as it should. Say you're rusty because you haven't ridden for a year. You do not want your bike to be in the same position. You want your bike to be as reliable and as good as it can be, so you've got time to get your bike fitness and your bike confidence back up. Now, the last thing's pretty self-explanatory. I hope you do that anyway, but I know a lot of people don't. When you get it started, leave it to warm up. So all those oils, all the lubrication, like the joints and things like that, they will have dried up. Or at least they haven't moved for a while. So you need to give it time to get all those fluids back around the engine, get the coolant back around the engine and mix up and everything. If you jump on the bike and just go off straight away, there's a high chance that something's going to go wrong. So there you go. A few small tips and things to check just before you get back on the bike. Now we're finally allowed back out. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been useful. If you've got any others, stick them in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear anything else you might check before you jump on the bike. Hopefully that gets you up and running, and I'll see you in the next one.